Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And they just can't quit Rian Johnson.
It gets clicks apparently, or whatever.
I don't know what's going on. There's been a resurgence in interest in The Last Jedi. All of a sudden, all these media outlets are talking about The Last Jedi.
Both good and bad.
Both good and bad. But like, it disappeared for several months. And, after The Rise of Skywalker came out, everybody seemed to stop caring. Now we're talking about it again. I have to wonder if they're not so desperate for news. Because, Hollywood has slowed to a crawl at this point, and there's not a lot of Star Wars news coming out, that they're so desperate they're going to go back, they're going to rewind the clock and be like, hey, remember when we had all those hits from The Last Jedi?
Yeah, let's do that again.
Let's start this up again. Let's start the machine up again. But they're not all taking the same tone that they used to take.
No, which is interesting.
They're not attacking the fans like they used to, but they're still bringing this up.
They are.
Just going out and doing a quick search. Now, we talked about this article last night a little bit on our live stream, but a lot of you probably missed it. But just do a Google search for Last Jedi, and you're going to see a lot. I
still love the one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this. You're going to see a lot of news about The Last Jedi. Like, they can't quit it. This one from Wired, which I want to bring this up because it's very interesting. They talk about Dave Rubin and his opinion on The Last Jedi and how he did not like The Last Jedi. 2 or 3 years ago, the media would have taken what Dave Rubin said and they would have tarred and feathered him.
Right, he would have been an ass of some kind. He hates strong women. He's obviously an alt-right Yahtzee. He is racist, sexist, whatever. That's what would have been the narrative. Even if he had a decent point, didn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing a change. Now they're actually talking about...
They want hits.
Factually. Because now they can tie it to The Last Jedi and get some hits. I don't know if it's in Google Trends or what the deal is, but we're seeing this uptick in Last Jedi news. So Dave Rubin, they talk about how he loves Star Wars. However, Rubin was very disappointed with the most recent Star Wars trilogy, particularly The Last Jedi.
Yeah, well, so were a lot of people.
Now, 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been Dave Rubin, that Yahtzee.
Yeah, he's a hater and supports toxic fandom.
He supports the toxic fandom. And I bet he voted for Trump, too.
Yeah, there'd be like a paragraph about Trump in there.
Yeah, there would have been something, but they're very factual. They said...
They didn't have direction. You mean everybody's been saying, especially YouTube, there is clearly no direction with these 3 stories? You mean like that?
Yeah, he said they didn't even write the 3 stories out. So each director sort of had their own crack at it. He said Rian Johnson basically completely aborted everything in The Last Jedi. Then they bring back J.J. Abrams, who has to try and fix it. And then there's The Rise of Skywalker, even though it was fine. We haven't seen it yet.
No, I have not. People try to say we did. Like, hell we did. We have not watched it.
No, people are like, we actually had them in the comments on some other Star Wars video being like, oh, we all know you guys have seen it.
Never
You're just
seen
lying.
it.
No, we haven't. I don't care enough.
We already know what all happens from all the videos and stuff. But, I keep thinking maybe we should watch it. And I'll get to the place where I'll start thinking about it. And then I'm like, no. I mean, I'll watch it eventually, I'm sure. I keep thinking about it. And then I have, like, no desire.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, when you talk about something for so long. And
it's a disappointment.
And it's disappointing. And there's so much drama surrounding it. I'm just like, I don't even think. Like, we watched Rogue One the other night again. And I'm okay watching Rogue One. I'd be okay to sit through The Mandalorian again. But there's so much drama around the sequel trilogy. I could care less if I ever saw any of the sequel trilogy movies again, ever.
Yeah. Me too. I have never watched any of them again. You watched, I think, The Force Awakens again.
I actually liked The Force Awakens until The Last Jedi came out and retroactively screwed up The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I can't watch any. I just don't watch any of them. And, I mean, I might watch Rise of Skywalker sometime just because, I watched the other ones. But the thought of doing it, to me, is like having my teeth pulled, and I don't want to do it. Like you said, because of drama. It's like going on social media right now. I don't want to go onto social media anymore because it's so full of, stuff that we're not talking about in this episode, but you know what I'm talking about, that I don't even want to go there because I can't even, it's so depressing and anger inducing. I don't even want to see it. It's like, I'm over it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just completely numb to it. I mean, and when you cover stuff like this, like we do, and you're kind of privy to all the behind the scenes drama, a lot of times what happens is you do become numb to it.
Yeah,
like you're no
like,
longer,
don't care.
it starts out as passion, you try to defend something you love, and then sometimes you just get to a point where it's like, well, that's it, you're lost.
That's the worst thing, because even if you hate something, that still means you care about it. When you don't care anymore, that's when it's a problem.
It's like Obi-Wan just kind of throwing his hands up in the air, like, then you truly are lost. Like, you went to the dark side, there's nothing I can do. And we see this with so many franchises where it's like, at some point you have to be like, that was then, this is now. Like, I cared about this 20, 30 years ago, but what it is now is not what it was.
I still care about what it was.
Yeah.
I still always be a fan of what it was, but I don't care about the new ones. I just don't, sorry.
Same with Doctor Who. Like, how much I love Doctor Who.
I'd watch Doctor Who again if it was the other doctors. I mean, I didn't really care for Capaldi too much, but I think that was the writing.
Yeah, Capaldi was, my personal opinion on Peter Capaldi, he was a phenomenal doctor who was given really shitty scripts.
I agree with that.
Because when they had the episodes where he was given his monologues, I'm like, oh my god. Or when they played him off of Missy, I was like, this is freaking brilliant. Like, just make Missy the companion and go with it. But then there were other episodes, I'm like, what the frick is the point of this episode?
Yeah, and then they keep saying, well, people don't like female leads. It's like, I had no problem with Missy. I thought Missy was great. I just can't stand what you've done with the Doctor. So
I would have watched the hell out of the Missy show.
So would I. It would have been amazing.
If Gomez was the Doctor, I would have probably.
Oh, that would have been an interesting twist.
Yeah, well, no, I would have been on board because again, it's the actor, the actress, the play. It's not for me.
She was great,
and I understand other people feel differently, and they're allowed to feel that way. But for me, it's not. It's not the gender thing so much as it is the person playing the part in the stories.
It's the stories for me. I mean, it's even if Whittaker could be a good doctor, we'll never know because the stories are so shit.
Yeah, she was giving shit.
And she's doubling down on them with them. So at that point, you've already turned me against what you're saying because you're so full of yourself. I can't stand it. But anyway,
back to this. So at some point, you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and say, "I'm done with this franchise." But yeah. So we've got Dave Rubin saying, sometimes you just have to. They tried to patch the ship before it sinks. And they go on about Revenge of the Sith, whatever, and they get to Joker, and he talks about the media trying to destroy Joker. This is coming from Wired, mainstream media, and they're letting him speak on Joker, and he's 100% right. We covered it. The media tried to destroy Joker, so now because of that, I think Warner is backpedaling with the Snyder Cut and everything else. And we get to the end, and I'm like, oh, yeah, where's the paragraph about Trump and the Russian bots? It's not here.
No.
I'm shocked. But so that was just a couple of days ago. So then, doing the search, there's a whole bunch of other Last Jedi things coming up. This one from Scott Mendelson, which I find surprising. The backlash to The Last Jedi showed that Star Wars fans actually liked Luke Skywalker.
I don't understand why people are surprised by this. I mean, he was for the original trilogy, he was like the main character, and then it was about how he and Leia were born in the prequel, and how Vader became Vader, and then they went out to assassinate the character in the last one. I don't understand why this is a surprise to them. I just can't. It hurts.
This is what kills me. They spent these media outlets, now maybe not Mendelson as much as other people, but these media outlets spent so much time saying the fans were saying things they weren't saying. The reason the fans were so upset about The Last Jedi, yeah, they were annoyed by Rose Tico. Yeah, they were like, what the hell is the purpose of Holdo?
I'm sorry. I know what the purpose of Rose Tico and Holdo was. The purpose of those characters were to come in and take the male characters who had already been, got past a certain point, that to knock them back to that point and then further so that they could bring them, they could be the ones to raise them up, and they're the ones that are on the pedestals. That's what it was about, and this is coming from a woman.
Yeah, so we get those characters were inserted for agenda, but the biggest grievance most of the fans had with the movie was how they completely destroyed Luke Skywalker, the central character of the original trilogy. They destroyed him, gutted him, pussified him. Made him a sad sack, and that's what we said. We kept saying, guys, they destroyed Luke. They destroyed our childhood heroes. No, you're just a bunch of alt-right Trump supporters.
Right, yeah.
You know, and you just hate women, and you personally drove Kelly Marie Tran off of Instagram. You should feel very, very bad.
Oh, yeah, it's always, every time anybody has any argument that they have no defense to, Kelly Marie Tran was chased off Instagram by a few people who didn't like her character.
That is
it's hilarious.
That's literally what it is. Like, guys, I didn't like The Last Jedi because, my God, what they did to Luke was horrible. You just don't like Asian women in movies. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
I love when they tell me I hate women. Yeah, you just hate women. You just hate
You're
women.
Misogynist.
I'm like, that's right. Every time I look in the mirror, I just want to punch it because I hate that bitch.
Well, they stopped doing that so much with you, but when we first started talking about this stuff on the channel, my God, they used to come after Geeky and just be like, you don't really understand it, but you actually are a misogynist because you've got a lot of self-loathing. You don't like other women.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. This is straight out the truth. And a lot of other women can verify this. There are some great women out there that are, you know, cool to be friends with. But a lot of women are catty bitches. I am sorry. Growing up in high school, that never changes for whatever reason for some people. And there are a lot of women who just like to be a catty bitch and like to slap people down. It's like bad moms. You know, I run into these people all the time. I run into women who told me I wasn't feminist enough because I was married and had a kid because they like women or they don't want kids or whatever. So they're the true feminist and I'm not because I don't think it's, you know, every male is bad and everything else. I get told women are the cattiest bitches you ever seen. I don't care, dudes. They can be toxic, but nowhere near the way women can be toxic. I'm telling you. And it's like, and then don't tell me I have internalized misogyny as you're actually acting like a misogynist towards me, telling me I can't have an opinion because it's not the opinion you agree with, and then swear at me in Spanish.
You've got men. I love these people. I'm using air quotes here. You've got men telling you male feminists telling you what your opinion should be.
Multiple times.
That's a complete 180.
That is the definition of misogyny.
Right, when you've got a man telling a woman what she's supposed to think. That is misogyny.
Right, exactly.
I don't tell you what to think.
No, they mansplain.
I know better.
We disagree on things sometimes, and it's the way it is.
I learned a long time ago not to tell you.
They mansplain me. They mansplain to me about why I'm wrong as a woman, but then you can't. But then they go on about how men shouldn't mansplain. The hypocrisy hurts. I mean, it's just, you're just looking at them like, I can't register how stupid you are right this second. You know, I just can't.
Well, again, what takes the taco, no puns intended, we're not talking about Brie Larson here, was, again, you know, when we talk, because we talk about a lot about comic books on this channel, and when we had a male literary agent telling a female comic book writer, Geeky, that her female characters weren't feminist enough, that this wasn't what women wanted, and you're a woman and he's a dude.
It was, these women need their agency, and I will stand by this, and if you've heard the story before, I'm sorry, but a lot of people haven't. We had a character, she liked the boy smiled at her, and it made her happy. Because when you're in high school, I don't care if you like boys or girls, or, you know, if you're gay, straight, whatever, don't care. The person you have a crush on, they smile at you, and it's going to make you happy. When you're in high school, you don't really, a lot of times, some people are lucky enough and they're really self-assured and they know who they are, and that's rare. Most of the people were like awkward, and it's hard, and it's a social minefield, and if somebody you like smiles at you and likes you back, it definitely affects your self-worth. I don't care what this effing guy said. I was a teenage girl. I know what the I'm talking about.
I never smiled in high school.
I can actually, from what I heard about you in high school, I believe
I had the world's biggest chip on my shoulder. I was, you talk about, people changing over the years, but yeah, I was very grumpy.
If we met in high school, we would not be together.
We wouldn't be.
And I said, and I mean it, because he would have been a dick, and I would have told him where he could go.
I was a complete dick. Anyway,
maybe you would have liked that. Who knows? But
I don't know. I was trying to be edgy. No, I just had a lot of issues I was going.
But through. I mean, you'd have been a dick, and I would have told you what.
I wouldn't have smiled though. I would have been like, okay, cool.
And you would have made some stupid comment, and I would have probably, wanted to deck you, and it would not have gone well. Yeah.
Anyway, this has nothing to do with Star Wars.
No, but what started this entire thing is an article I sent to you, and it was, I saw this today on CBR, of course.
Of course,
and
it's on CBR.
talking about Star Wars Leia's true legacy in the galaxy far, far away. And I was like, okay, is this going to be a good article? Because are they going to actually admit that, maybe there were strong women in Star Wars before the new Star Wars, and Leia actually was really important besides being a general, because she was, there's a lot of female fans of Star Wars. There have been for decades. This is not a new thing. Leia was kick-ass, and they keep changing her and things to make her like look like a bitch, and they're trying. Oh, we're making her strong. No, you're making her look like a bitch. I mean, Leia could be a bitch, but this is like beyond. So I was like, okay, they can actually give Leia credit for what for the truth, and they kind of start out that way. Yeah, they're talking about she's the best of the Skywalkers. I had to get that in there. So I'm like, okay. So then they're talking about what were you saying?
Well, no, I was gonna say objectively, she was because look, she was the best of the Skywalkers because they ruined Luke. Mm-hmm. If they had not ruined Luke and made him a complete failure, they were like an even
playing field. I thought
they were. Luke and Leia, they were two sides. I mean, he was rough around the edges.
She was more like diplomacy and stuff like that.
Right, because we're talking nature versus nurture.
Right.
But she was weak in the Force because she didn't have the training, to go with it and all that.
So they're talking about that, and they're saying about, they said it would be easy to make Princess Leia a classic space damsel in distress, but George Lucas avoided this trope by making Leia's sarcasm and ingenuity rise as her situation becomes dire. And I like Leia for that. And they go on about how she wrote a book and how she talked about, what happened and how, no one expected it to become what it became. And they're talking about how everyone loved Leia, both men and women, although for slightly different reasons. I would like to know what the different reasons were. An action princess, she provided much-needed feminine role model for the little geekettes and became a representation for all of the great things that a woman could be. Right, but you know what? This again falls into that stereotyping trap, the one, the trap that you accuse everybody else of, where you're saying that only women can have a role model that's Leia. I mean, isn't that the antithesis of what these people are supposed to be representing? Because a lot of people, like, if I'm a girl, doesn't mean every character I relate to or I look up to has to be female. If you're a guy, every character you have to look up to and relate to doesn't have to be male.
No. Every character that men current year have to look up to also have to be women. You're not allowed.
Right, but I'm just saying. But they're just saying this. She represented things for women, but she might have represented things for men too.
She did.
It's very narrow-minded of you. But anyway, she hated the gold bikini, which I knew. And they go on about this and how she thinks it's funny that their men are dressing as slave Leia, which I think is funny also. I always thought it was hilarious and great. It's funny. But then, just to make sure you know that you cannot, if you hate The Last Jedi, you hate Carrie Fisher.
Oh my God, yeah, I know.
Because later in life, Carrie became a script doctor. Not that much later, she was doing stuff back in the day. She even helped Rian Johnson to hit the right target notes in The Last Jedi. So now, if you hate The Last Jedi, it's because of Carrie Fisher.
So you're not even allowed to dislike The Last Jedi because Carrie Fisher worked as a script doctor. Now,
on that one and many others.
And I don't want to belittle Carrie Fisher's script doctoring because she actually was. A lot of people didn't know this. They've done articles on. Yeah. They did articles on this before the Disney trilogy came out. Yes. That she was one of the fix-it people that Hollywood would bring in. Like, she was working the whole time. Mm-hmm. She wasn't on screen, but she was coming in and fixing.
Exactly.
She even worked on the prequels.
Yep.
She even worked on the prequels. But here's the ironic thing about this is the one line of dialogue she absolutely hated, they mentioned in this article, was Empire Strikes Back. I love you. I know. She hated it because Harrison Ford had this big monologue, and Ford and the director decided to change it because it was way too long.
Yeah, and Han's gonna be frozen carbonite. He doesn't have time to do a monologue.
Right, but they changed it without telling her, and she had a complete meltdown because she's like, "Why didn't you tell me this?" And
they should have told her.
They should have told her, but they're also in this particular instance, it doesn't affect your part at all. This is him changing dialogue. Your dialogue's exactly the same, but
it's iconic now.
It is iconic. So,
but the thing is, they're talking about how she helped Rian Johnson hit the right notes. Well, that's up for debate because a lot of people think that they didn't hit the right notes at all. I would go to her house and we would sit on her bed for hours and go through scripts, and I would just scribble on my script everything she said. And at the end of 6 hours, there'd be a 4-word line of dialogue that was a distillation of all that, and it was brilliant. So basically, if you hate The Last Jedi, you hate Carrie Fisher. That's what they end up. That's what this has become.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, and the thing is, though, you've got Mark Hamill who's even I don't really agree with the way that they portrayed Luke Skywalker. Now, she was brought as a script doctor. She didn't come up with the story. So basically, as I understood it. Now,
you have to make the best you can with the shit you're given.
Right. She polished turds.
I was going to say, she did turdy work.
She did all the there you go. Carrie Fisher, God bless her. I love Carrie Fisher, and I want to make sure that it's not coming across like I'm trying to belittle her. I'm not. Fisher. but she did all the turdy work. She did all of Hollywood's turdy work, and she tried to polish those turds. Can you imagine how shitty some of these movies would have been without Carrie Fisher?
That's right. And the thing is, about Carrie Fisher, people said, oh, you don't like Carrie Fisher. Oh, no. I cried off and on for days after Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah, it was. I remember when we heard about her going into the hospitals right before Christmas, and we're like, in 2016, it already sucked at that point.
Yeah.
We lost, David Bowie and a bunch of
we had a lot of
celebrities.
stuff going on personally, too.
We had a lot of stuff going on. We had,
almost lost our house.
Yeah, we had a bunch of really bad things going on. But back then, those were bad years. But then we're like, oh my God, and on top of everything, we're going to lose Princess Leia.
Yeah, and I did. I cried off and on. I'm going to try not to cry about it now for days because, these people make these articles and stuff, but a lot of them weren't there. And, for me, as a little girl who was there, Carrie Fisher Princess Leia was huge. And, I love Princess Leia. I love Luke Skywalker. I related to Luke Skywalker as much as I related to Princess Leia. But, I guess, for me, and for a lot of you, I'm sure, it's really hard. Like you said, we kept losing people like David Bowie and Prince and all that. We keep losing our idols and our icons from when we were kids, and it's hard. And then you have all these people come in and tell you it's General Leia now. And it's like, okay, I'm glad. And for you people, it's General Leia. For me, it's always Princess Leia. Sorry, but that's the way it is.
I think that's what... if you want to talk about distilling everything down, I think that's what, hurts us so much on this channel is that we are watching our childhood die, and what's left of it feels like they're picking at the carcass. We're watching these people that formed us pass away. And then the people that are left want to claim them as their own, but then they
want to claim their work as their own, right? Or claim the individuals, as their own, yeah.
And then they're desecrating the memory because it's like, no, we grew up when these people, we know how they thought, they helped form us. You don't know. You're making them say things that they didn't say.
Well, I have no problem with people liking General Leia and that's their Leia, but my Leia is Princess Leia, and I'm sorry, my Leia is not less than your Leia because they're calling her a general now. And she's the exact same character.
Yeah, and they're turning it into a pissing match, and you guys are getting kind of I feel bad. I feel bad for this generation in some way because I'm like, you guys are getting our hand-me-down childhood.
Right. Well, I was like, my Princess Leia, would have gone and got, her son herself and wouldn't have sent Han in there to do it. She would have hauled her own ass and got him by the ear and said, you're coming home with me, you little turd, and drug his ass out of there. Yeah. That would have been Princess Leia. That wouldn't have been General Leia, who's just like, oh, Han, I'm sorry that we're not married anymore for whatever reason, even though everybody spent a lot of time putting us together. But now you go and do it.
Yeah, that was completely out of character. So you want to talk about...
She did it herself.
Yeah, you want to talk about script doctoring. She would have gone and got her kid. Yeah. She would have made sure Han didn't
People
die.
told her not to do things, or she's like, you don't tell me what to do. That was Princess Leia, in a not punching Luke in the face kind of way.
So you kind of look at this. Well, one, yeah, they actually did weaken her in some ways. She might be General Leia, but she spent most of the Force Awakens sitting in a chair, being sat. Then they knocked her ass out for most of
The Last Jedi,
and then they had to CG her in for.
Well, that wasn't their fault.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, you wasted her for all this. She was a stronger character in this trilogy. You wasted Leia. Mm-hmm. You completely... Now, they intended for her to have a much bigger role in the last movie.
And then things happened. But I'm just saying, for all their... they want to use her now to be like, well, if you want... But The Last Jedi, she script doctored it. So if you have a problem with it, the genius of The Last Jedi is all Carrie Fisher. No, that's not what happened.
And also Trump.
No, that's what you have... No, he wasn't the genius. He'd be the... there was some reason about why you hate him. But... we're going to wrap this up soon, but going on the thing, I want to go to that one thing, though, because this is just too funny, and I have to share it. This is great. This is beautiful. 4 days ago. This is Star Wars The Last Jedi romance novel fan cover sees Ben Solo woo Rey. Because, for whatever reason, these people think that, this is okay. Toxic relationships are all right. He's a toxic person. He did really shitty things, but it's okay now because he says he's good, and she likes him because he's swallow.
Yeah, so that's what people were upset about. They weren't upset about the character assassination of Luke Skywalker. They weren't upset about the fact that Leia was basically sidelined for the trilogy. They were upset because they didn't get their ship.
And how about they're so pissed off about women, people not liking strong women and misogyny? They have her on her knees, he's dominating her. I thought that was bad. I thought women had to dominate.
Yeah.
And they based it off this cover, which is...
You're a Palpatine, man up.
I'm like, dude's not wearing pants.
Yeah, I don't know if we can show that on YouTube, but we're just gonna get past it.
I'm like, wow. Wow.
But yeah, just go out there, just search for The Last Jedi. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. Just Rise of Skywalker, 10 plot points from The Last Jedi that J.J. Abrams ignored. How dare he? How very dare he? It's such a brilliant, brilliant movie. He must hate J.J. Abrams.
No, he must hate Carrie Fisher.
He hates Carrie Fisher.
That's right.
Because she script doctored The Last Jedi.
That's right.
And he just ignored it. 2 hours ago, Last Jedi, why Kylo Ren shouldn't have been able to kill Snoke. We had these conversations 3 effing years ago.
Yeah, and then we all got told, you just hate women.
3 weeks ago, Knives Out shows us what Rian Johnson brought to Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Why are they angling? You know why?
Now?
Rian Johnson's probably trying to angle for himself a Star Wars film.
Yeah. They use the media, but it's that, and there's nothing to talk about because, Star Wars is kind of dead in the water. So, very curious to see. I think they know that it's controversial. They know it's going to get hits, and God knows these websites need as much revenue as they can get because the ad rates are dropping off a freaking cliff, and a lot of these journalists won't even be able to get their $5.
I know
for their CBR articles.
I just think it's funny because at least now they aren't just saying everybody who doesn't like The Last Jedi are terrible people, but it's like you're years too late. And you're saying the same things that everybody else said when you belittled, mocked, called them all toxic fans for saying the exact same damn things, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, welcome to the party, welcome to the party, guys. You're way too late and the fandom has moved on. And
they're not very happy with you and they don't trust you now. So way to go.
I think The Last Jedi was a huge catalyst in why fans don't trust these media outlets anymore. So they did it for clicks, I think. They tried to stir up discontent for clicks.
I think they underestimated how much people would be upset about what they did to Luke.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I think The Last Jedi, that is the major sin it had.
Yeah.
Was, I mean, you can even get past the female character and stuff, because people always expect female characters in Star Wars, contrary to what media tells you. But what they did, and what they did to Finn and Poe, too, I thought was kind of, they made them like complete assholes for no reason.
I'm still going to maintain. The way that it was set up in The Force Awakens, it came across like they were going to set Finn up to be the lead, or at least co-lead with Rey, and he wound up being a doofy-ass sidekick.
Right, and I was actually thinking about this yesterday. Because nothing else was on. I was running, Pacific Rim 2 in the background, and I kept thinking the whole time, I would have totally watched a movie where Finn was a Jedi. I would have loved it. That would have been amazing. What a cool story. He was a stormtrooper. Now he's a Jedi. You could have had him on equal footing with Rey. It would have been phenomenal. It could have been really cool. And they completely blew the chance. Instead, they just completely took everything he gained as a character in Force Awakens, and they just kicked him back to where he was a deserter and a coward.
Yeah.
And then Poe was like a hero, and then all of a sudden Poe is a shithead for no reason because he's full of himself, because that's what male characters do.
Yeah, and I love it. They're like strong female characters. Let's introduce Holdo, have her boss around Poe, and then blow herself up. Right, and in a maneuver that, if it was possible, why wasn't it never done before? Yeah. And, and Rose basically was there to take all the agency away from Finn. Yeah. Because she's deciding he wants to give a sacrifice. This annoyed Squid King so much. If he wants to choose to run his ship into the damn laser or whatever it was that he was running, I forget what it was, but it was like a big laser gun. Yeah, if he wanted to run it in there, it was his decision. You just took his choice away. You took his damn choice away. Well, it doesn't matter because, Because for love. Man. No, he's man. He shouldn't get any choices. Women got to make good choices. And then they aren't together anyway, so it doesn't really effing matter. And she got like a minute of screen time in the next movie. So anyway, this is going long again. All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up, guys. Just very curious. Pay attention. Go out there, look in the news stories. You're gonna see a lot of talk about The Last Jedi for God knows whatever reason. It's a dead horse is being beaten again and again and again. Pretty much. All right, see you later. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.